This new data from a survey just seriously shocked many Tesla stock investors. The majority of Americans picked Toyota over Tesla when asked about their preferred EV brand. That's according to the results of an Ipsos survey, which asked 1,025 Americans about their EV buying preferences. The results show that 30% of respondents would prefer Toyota, while 23% would prefer Tesla when thinking about purchasing an EV. 20% prefer Honda, 15% prefer GM, and 14% prefer Ford. These are some shocking results to many Tesla stock investors, of course, and only 30% were familiar with programs like the federal EV tax credit. That's a bit insane, isn't it? Biggest concerns for potential EV buyers: number one, lack of charging stations, then driving range, and then overall cost. I think it is very important for Tesla to keep building more charging stations, but right now it's good enough where it will work for many people, as long as you can actually charge at your home every single day. If you live in an apartment and you can't charge at home, then right now the charging infrastructure, I would not want to own an EV yet. One of my friends that lives in an apartment actually sold her Tesla because it took too long to drive back and forth from a supercharger location, not to mention that the actual charging is not actually that fast yet. So she got rid of her Tesla and she bought a gas-powered vehicle. If there was a supercharger location very close to where she lives or works, then maybe, I think probably actually, she wouldn't have sold the vehicle. However, this clearly explains why many people prefer Toyota over Tesla, given that Toyota only has one fully electric model but 24 hybrid electric cars. Results from other questions in the survey show why the majority of Americans might pick Toyota over Tesla. Only 31% said they were likely to purchase an EV, which in the survey included both battery, electric, and hybrids. And given that Toyota sells about 2 million cars per year in the US alone, which is a lot more than how many cars Tesla sells in the US every year, that now makes sense why people would say, oh yeah, I'm going to buy a Toyota instead of a Tesla, because overall more people are buying Toyotas than Teslas for now. The keyword here is for now. Only 20% of buyers were aware of recent price cuts by Tesla that have made their cars more affordable than ever, even more affordable than the average gas-powered car sold in the US. Additionally, only 20% were aware of recent deals by Ford, GM, and now more than 24 automakers that will extend access to Tesla's supercharger network to other EV brands. What does all of this mean? Well, eventually, people will find out that Tesla cut prices, either through word of mouth or just by comparison when someone goes and shops for a vehicle, or Tesla could start to seriously advertise. And when that happens, the demand will come back very strongly. And this right now is such a popular topic among the biggest Tesla stock bulls. Even James Stevenson here says that 80% of the potential customers do not know that Tesla cut prices. Car buyers who think Teslas aren't affordable will not buy one, whether they can actually afford a Tesla or not. He continues by saying interest alone is insufficient if the buyer cannot afford a Tesla, but affordability is also an insufficient condition. Awareness is absolutely essential because people who don't know they can afford a Tesla or have fallen prey to EV myths will not buy one. And this is the most important point out of all of the things said here today. But the opportunity disguised as adversity is that 80% of the market remains untapped. 80%. Also, remember how the survey said that only 31% of Americans were likely to purchase an EV as their next car, which also, remember, included hybrids. Omar did a pretty good series of posts debunking parts of that survey. For example, he shows this survey from EY Research that said that nearly half of US car buyers intend to purchase an EV, and that is from June. The survey from June had 15,000 people participate in it, whereas that other survey only had 1,000 people. So you have to be careful when comparing one survey to another, because also they have different wording and just a few differences in how you phrase your surveys can make a huge difference in the end. But if you just do the same survey over and over again each year, that I think is a much better data point. And what is very clear is that more people actually want to buy EVs. For example, when they did the survey in 2022, only 29% of the people said they want to buy an EV versus now 48% of the people saying they want to buy an EV. Also, the time frame that they picked in this survey is the next 24 months. That 1,000 people survey asked specifically about the next time you buy a vehicle, and they didn't really give a time frame, it appears to me, which could include a lot of people that, let's say, bought a car 4 years ago and they're not thinking of upgrading their car or switching to another vehicle, and therefore they haven't done any research. They assume nothing has really changed. But if you are thinking about buying the next vehicle in the next 24 months, let's say, you're probably doing some research and you're realizing, buying an EV actually makes more sense than just buying a gas-powered vehicle. Tesla sold more than 50% of the EVs in the US, or more than everyone else combined. Toyota, with 5,000 registrations of the bZ4X, is at less than 1% of the market. Didn't even make this list here. So consumers want a Toyota EV, not a Tesla EV, according to a survey of 1,000 people, but according to registration data from hundreds of thousands of actual sales, people prefer Tesla by a factor of 71x. And I fully agree with Omar here. At the end of the day, it is a data point, but it is a Yahoo Finance survey of 1,000 people, Ipsos survey. While many are motivated to claim people don't want EVs, that's not true. There are two kinds of people right now, those who want an EV and those who don't know they want an EV yet. I keep seeing posts like this every single day from actual Tesla owners. This is not a Tesla Stop Bear. This is a Tesla owner. I talked to a couple of people about Tesla today. There's only one model that has a screen, right? Isn't it like $70,000? But there are not a lot of chargers here in Texas. And they were completely silent when I showed them the 8-year battery warranty. They could not believe it. And yet, despite that, Tesla is actually still growing their volumes pretty quickly. I'm talking about year-to-date numbers. There are just so many people that don't know better. And that, to me, presents a big Tesla stock buying opportunity. James says, what do you think would happen if Tesla cut FSD price by 50%? Would 50% more people buy FSD? Very unlikely. I actually agree with James on this one. That's because people don't perceive the value. But also, in many places, it still just doesn't work too well. If I was trying to save money, and if I did not have a lot of disposable income, I would not have bought FSD, and I would not buy it as of today. Still, I live in Vancouver, and it works all right here. It's fun to drive with it on if you are by yourself in the car, but if I have other passengers in the car sometimes brakes suddenly in places where you would never brake. For example, it confused a traffic light for another lane, and it thought that it was red, but actually it was green for my lane, and the car just stopped, and two of my passengers looked at me asking me, what the hell did I just do? These situations happen still quite often if you go to places for the first time. If you drive through a place a few times, and then you know exactly what it is going to do in most cases, so then you don't get surprised. There are a few intersections that I know, okay, if I go there, there's going to be an issue, so I just turn it off, I drive through them by myself, and then after I pass them, I turn it back on, and it just works great then. So I agree with James that probably if Tesla cut the FSD price by 50%, we may not see 50% more people actually buying FSD. This is partially because the product itself is still in beta, and it still needs work. And I would also bet that it is partially because Tesla isn't promoting it or trying to really sell it. When we see Tesla actually trying to sell FSD, that would be a positive signal. But I think it highly depends on the city you live in. So if you are in Austin or San Francisco, probably FSD works great for you, and maybe even in LA, but there are many other parts of the US where it's just not going to be all that great. But there are definitely improvements, generally speaking, with each major update. And comparing FSD now to where it was 2 years ago, there's a huge difference. And looking at the rate of progress, it's really just a matter of time before full self-driving is fully solved. And even if it's a bit longer than many Tesla stock bulls expect, because the opportunity is so huge, it won't really matter much if there are more delays. I'm just happy I can keep buying Tesla stock at these cheap prices because some people think that FSD is never going to be solved. Multi-millionaire all-in Tesla stock investor Jason has a few good points about the state of Tesla stock. It's not money that you have lost because an investment isn't money. He's talking about Tesla stock falling just now. What was lost was public confidence in the stock. That's all. What does the public, including Wall Street analysts, know about Tesla? Very little. These people still think Tesla is a car company. Pure hallucinations. Your percentage ownership did not change. If you know what a company is worth, you know what a company is worth. Tesla is a more valuable company every single day. Every day you hold the stock, you become wealthier. The recent earnings call was a gift to retail Tesla stock investors who are still buying. Every day Tesla delivers more products. Every day Tesla engineers make important but unpublicized breakthroughs. Every day Tesla pulls further ahead of competitors. Tesla isn't competing anymore. They have transcended the competition. It's like Michael Jordan playing high school basketball at this point. This is a time to be holding and or accumulating. The longer the base, the bigger the breakout. I fully agree with that. You are me sometime between 2013, 2018. That's when I earned my retirement. Investing is a war with your own mind. This whole post was in response to this. Help a brother out. How do you get comfortable seeing 7 figures evaporate in a day when some can't even stomach 5? What's the secret? One point that maybe I would push against a little bit is that, is Tesla really becoming a more valuable company every single day? If you want to be very technical about it, maybe not every single day. There are times when Tesla makes a good decision and then we see benefits from that decision, and there are times when Tesla sometimes occasionally does something that maybe it shouldn't. For example, not doing a round steering wheel from the beginning for the Model S and Model X, which now they have done. But the point that Jason here is trying to make is that over time, Tesla becomes a lot more valuable. So if you just average everything out, on average, Tesla becomes a more valuable company every single day. And how do I handle these bigger dips? Well, first, I understand very well that they are going through a consolidation phase right now, and I expect huge dips inevitably during this phase. We could break out at any time, of course, but Tesla does not just move sideways. It goes up or down, and these movements sometimes can be quite violent. But then another thing I do is not look at my accounts. Because if you look at your account when Tesla goes up, let's say 10% in a day, and you get excited, then you will be just as depressed when Tesla stock drops 10%, but more, because our human brain does not really perceive all that much joy from a gain as it perceives pain from the same amount that you would lose. So it's all a trick. So just don't look at it. The only thing that I look at is my fair Tesla stock price I am willing to pay. And I just look at that gap between how much Tesla stock is trading for today and how much I'm willing to pay for it. And the bigger that gap gets, the more exciting the buying opportunity becomes. And because that gap is so big, and you can see it on my Patreon if you like to, because it's so big. It's just pure excitement to me. Tesla Scope account says that they expect FSD version 12 to be released no earlier than during the holiday season, or perhaps more likely in Q1 or Q2 of next year. That's based on the patterns that previous versions followed. I am really looking forward to that version. Did you know that 10 years ago, Norway was pretty much exactly where the US is right now with its EV adoption rate, but the difference is the EVs have gotten much more better and quite a bit cheaper. So the transition now technically should be quite a bit easier. Yeah, I think Tesla is sort of advertising just by driving this Cybertruck around. And people are even saying that these bullets were not shot randomly. But I think that deciphering is wrong. I think this is correct. Toyota just revealed this all-electric truck at the Tokyo Auto Show. It's roughly the same length as the Model X. Do you think this truck will actually ever be made? Volkswagen cut its profit margin outlook for the current year on Friday, blaming negative effects from raw materials hedges at the end of the third quarter. This image looks about right to me. That hedge led to a $2.7 billion non-cash loss. GM, Honda, and Cruise announced a joint venture for a driverless taxi fleet in Japan. And this is a bit unusual. This Japanese city is piloting EV wireless charging at traffic lights. If you drive locally a lot, I guess it's not too bad. For 1 minute, you get 6 kilometers of range. So just a bit under 4 miles, which would come in pretty handy if you cannot charge at home because maybe you live in an apartment. It's an interesting idea, but I think it has a lot of issues. It would probably be quite expensive to install all of these chargers at every single traffic light stop. I think this to me also makes sense. I am bullish when Elon says things are extremely hard right now. It shows he and his team are working hard. And if you read the biography written by Walter Isaacson about Elon, then you know he does quite a bit better, then there's pressure and the stakes are high. He doesn't like it when everything just goes well and everything is smooth. Elon likes a bit of drama, and right now there's certainly some drama. The Model 3 bumper camera made an accidental, probably, return on the Tesla website, but that was only if you go to UAE and you choose stealth gray and white interior. Maybe just an accident, but I think it is pretty clear that Tesla eventually will put that bumper camera into all of the Model 3 cars. And someone actually counted all of the bullets. After a correction, it seems that the final number is 74. Oh wow, Mercedes-Benz grants significant discounts on the list price for almost all models in Q4. Discounts of up to 30% on the list price have been leaked to the media, and supposedly this is very confidential and not for public use. Through my sources, says Alex, I have received confirmation that top managers right below the board level at Mercedes-Benz privately expressed their deep concern for the company. Edmunds data shows that Mercedes-Benz dealers in September took an average of 82 days to sell the brand's battery-powered EQ models, more than double BMW's 38-day turn rate and significantly above the luxury segment average of 57 days. Troy says, based on my calculation, it cost Tesla $32,000 to produce a Model 3 standard range rear-wheel drive at Fremont. The battery cost is already low thanks to LFP cells from China. I estimate that the compact car at Giga Mexico would cost $24,000. Tesla could sell it for $32,500, but the buyer would pay $25,000, assuming the $7,500 tax credit lasts until the end of 2032 as planned. Tesla's gross margin would be 26% with the tax credit, but only 4% without it. That's probably why Elon is cautious, because it's unclear if tax credits will last. Here's some good news. The US Justice Department is backing one of Tesla's legal arguments in the carmaker's lawsuit, claiming that car dealers and others conspired to limit competition through Louisiana's direct-to-consumer automobile sales ban. 14 years ago, Tesla delivered its first Roadster to its customers in Europe, and now Tesla just hit 1 million vehicles on the roads across Europe. Let's make that 10 million now. James has some good points here. Q4 tends to be the quarter with the highest deployed energy storage in the year. It was so in 2019, 2020, and 2022, when Q4 made up 32%, 52%, and 38% of each year's total deployed energy storage, respectively. In 2021, Q4 was only 24% of the total year, but Tesla was severely battery constrained in Q4 of 2021. As vehicle demand far exceeded supply and battery storage supply was shared with vehicle supply. Megapacks were still being built with 2170 cells from Giga Nevada. Now, energy storage supply is decoupled from vehicle battery supply, and we have a ramping Lathrop factory. It is reasonable to expect another record in Q4 in energy storage deployment. Just look at these deployments. If you only look at each quarter, it looks messy, it looks disorganized, but when you just look at the whole year, each year, yeah, the numbers look really impressive. And I would like to thank all of my Patreon supporters. By joining my Patreon, you will get access to how much I think it is fair to pay per Tesla share each year between 2023 and 2033. If you sign up for the investor tier of support, you will also get my valuation model of Tesla stock with a 45-minute video walkthrough. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching that discussion about the future with Elon Musk, watch this one first. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.